What it do, everybody? Your boy is back on the grind one more time, and yep, I am at work again. A lot of these videos that are going to be coming up here are probably going to be me kicking it off here at the gym because my schedule has changed. The videos now, with the limited time that I have when I'm working on the car, I don't get to go into grave detail in regards to what I'm doing on the car, unless I have a day off or something like that. But anyways, so a lot of these videos are going to be for me, for my gym as an intro, and then leading into the video. But anyways, this video is in regards to Wilwood, man. Troublesome. Wilwood has not been the greatest. In particular, the emergency brake kit. Now, I'm not going to say in regards to everything because I haven't drove the car yet. You know, I know a lot of people that have Wilwood and have had a lot of success with their brakes. So I'm pretty sure the brakes are probably going to be good, especially for me just driving the car just normal with, you know, not autocrossing it or anything like that. But I've had so much trouble with that rear setup, man, and it's just been a pain. You know, over time, you know, obviously since I'm still putting together the car, I'm not really driving the car, so I can do this over time. But trying to find places to mill down the bracket that I had to do. If you go check some of my previous videos in regards to my installation of that rear kit, you will know that I had some trouble with a spacer. You know, there's a spacer in there that was a little too thick and it wouldn't allow my caliper to line up straight. So after troubleshooting it for a while, I finally just took it apart and just kind of just measured it out, and it didn't line up. So anyways, I had to find somebody to mill that down. What else did I have trouble with? The emergency brake kit. So in regards to that, you know, I really didn't think nothing of it as far as like installing it. The install went great. One thing that I did that was my own fault is I didn't use their like retaining plate, and the directions do call to use their retaining plate, but it looked exactly the same as the one I already had, and so I just put it in. Well, ended up being that didn't work because it has like a little like a flange that basically presses against the bearing, the seal of the bearing, that plate, and that's what actually keeps the axle and the seal pushed in and the axle from sliding in and out. Well, I had a little plate and I didn't know why. It's because I didn't use their plate like they told me to do in the directions. But that's my own fault. But in regards to the emergency brake kit, y'all, I always noticed when I spun the wheel, it got a little hung up. And if you check, I think my last video or two, you see me pushing the car inside because it started to rain, because I had the car kind of sticking out. When I pushed it in, you could hear squeaking, like as I'm pushing it in. And that was the emergency brakes binding up on the inner part of the drum. Shortly after that, I investigated more in depth as far as, you know, what was going on there, because they would get hung up sometimes, and my thought was that it would just kind of like burn off when I was driving it. But man, I tried to like spin the wheels, and when I spun them, they wouldn't go anymore. And I was trying to like really turn those wheels, you guys, just by hand, and it wasn't moving. So I just didn't want that to be a problem driving the car. I didn't know. So I thought that I would just go to the store, get a tool, emergency brake tool, and use that adjuster tool to adjust that little nut, that little sprocket. I don't know exactly what they call it, but it basically expands and or contracts the emergency brake pads. You can bring them in or you can bring them out and adjust them that way. So I thought that I would just adjust them all the way in and just call it good. And still, when I adjusted them all the way in, they still binded. And then, this is another thing about the Wilwood emergency brake kit. My passenger side wouldn't spin. It wouldn't spin up, it wouldn't spin down anymore after I had adjusted it once. And so that's why I had to take the emergency brake kit apart. Like I had to take the rotor off, I had to take the caliper off. I bled the brakes, but I didn't have to take the brake lines off, so that was good. But anyways, when I took it off, man, this is another thing with Wilwood, you guys. So there's a spring that keeps the two drums together. Well, it goes from one drum to the other. But they have it routed right under that that adjuster little nut, and it gets caught up on that. And bad design, man, super bad design. I mean, I was wondering, like, when I was pushing it with that little emergency brake tool wrench, why I couldn't spin it freely. Well, it's because the spring that sits underneath that little gear that you use to spin that nut to expand and contract the drums gets caught up on the spring. And so that was a pain in the ass. Sorry for my language. But so design flaw, super bad. There's no way I can really adjust it. I tried to look for like different mounting points and I was just gonna move the spring, but I didn't want to mess with it, y'all. So I just brought them all the way in and just left them there. So when I took the drum off, and you'll see in the next clip, it has this coating inside. And when I took the drum off, just flakes and dust just went everywhere. And that was from the protective coating that they have inside of the drum. But here's the thing, they don't give you any directions. They don't give you any guidance on what to do. And when I was talking to my buddy, because he's having some trouble with his emergency brake kit also, one side on his spins freely, the other side doesn't. They did all the things that I did as well, and it's still binding. So they're thinking it might be some type of manufacturer's defect or whatever, maybe in the rotor, maybe in the hub assembly or something, I don't know. So anyways, so they call Wilwood, my buddy, and the guy who's working on the car called Wilwood, and the tech told him that, well, this is one reason why people opt to not get the emergency brake kit, because there's nothing but a hassle. What? So you work for Wilwood, and that's how you're going to tell your customers in regards to a product that you sell? That is crazy. So anyways, and then another tech actually emailed him a long list of directions what to do on how to adjust and put this thing together properly. I skimmed over it because he sent it to me. I skimmed over it. I'm like, man, it's a bunch of BS. I mean, you should just be able to put the dang things on. They should mount right on. You buy them for your specific application, and you should give directions in order to put them on properly. I mean, if you have to sand down the inside, let us know. You know, I mean, there's no way that so the pads were burning that coating off, but the thing is, there was just so much coating in there that the pads actually stuck to all the debris and the material, and that's what was binding and seizing up the wheel so it wouldn't turn anymore. Also, too, that coating that's on the inside of the drum, when I took it off, it was actually stuck and embedded inside or on top of the brake shoes. So I went in and I sanded the pads down, and I sanded the inside of it down, as you'll see in here in the next clip. So anyways, it's just been a hassle, you guys. I don't know how many times I've had those wheels off, the brakes off, the calipers off, on and off the car. It's just been insane. But anyways, go ahead and check out this video, you guys. I don't mean to complain or anything, but you know, this has been probably one of the most troublesome deals in regards to this whole build. I mean, literally, and the brakes, and you know, bleeding the brakes and all that too. And that's another thing, and you'll find out here soon, the brake bleeder screws. They don't tell you in the directions how to use those bleeder screws. Now, you will see here in the next clips, but they're 2-piece bleeder screws, and I didn't know that. And I was just bleeding them how I always bled them, not knowing that you have to use the little top nut on the bleeder screw. I didn't know, you guys. So anyways, shout out to California for that. You'll see here in the next video. So Anyways, thank you guys. If you're new to the channel, definitely think about subscribing. Hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, y'all. My name is Mr. Griffin23. I'm restoring a 1971 Chevelle from the ground up, you guys. So actually after this, I'm gonna go work on it as well, nonstop, trying to get this done. Oh, and my goal to get it done by the 11th, which is this weekend for the cruise. I could probably get it on the road actually, but I'm probably not gonna drive it because it has been raining nonstop here in the Pacific Northwest, you guys. I mean, it has been raining. We have been having one of the wettest seasons, like spring seasons, in the history of however long they've been tracking it. So a couple weeks ago, I had watched the news and they were tracking the last 30 days in regards to just warm weather. And over that 30-day span, we had 2 days over the average within that 30 days. We were 2 to 15 degrees below average every single day except for 2 of those 30 days that they tracked. Also, in the month of May, we have had the second wettest May in the history of since they've been tracking. That is crazy, you guys. I mean, and we've been actually kind of spoiled. I will say that the past, 3 to 4 years, we have had some really good winters, which means it hasn't like snowed or really rained a lot, and especially leading into the spring and summer. Super nice springs and summers. So but it's never, since I can remember, really been like this leading into spring and summer. We can have some wet springs, but this is ridiculous, you guys. So anyways, that also kind of helps me a little bit though, because I'm not as itchy and antsy to get the cars out, especially since I'm putting this one back together. So I guess there's a plus to it, but man, I still would like to go outside and enjoy some nice sunshine, nice weather. So anyways, stay tuned for this next clip, you guys. Don't mean to ramble, but I like talking to you guys. So anyways, stay tuned. Here's more. Yet I am dealing with another issue, man. As the title says, man, I am really not happy with Wilwood, man. I don't know. I haven't driven the car, so obviously I don't know anything about the performance of them, but just putting these things together, I'm not too impressed, guys. They look good, yeah, but I don't know, man. I had to actually call a buddy, Califormula, on YouTube, but he actually helped me out. I got stumped last night because we were trying to bleed the brakes. That was going to be one of a couple tasks that I really wanted to get done yesterday, so today I could do more things, but yet I am still dealing with the brakes. So anyways, I'll post a picture up in here in regards to the bleeder screws. So I have never seen bleeder screws like this, and when I went to bleed the brakes, they weren't bleeding. And I did not know that these bleeder screws were two-part. So there's actually a screw inside of another screw, and I did not know that. And if you look at it, you can kind of see, well, I guess if you know, and then once you know and you look at it, you're like, oh, well, damn. But I've never bled bleeder screws like this before. So you actually physically have to turn the top portion of the nipple, and it basically lets out the brake fluid from inside the other screw. So I don't know, man. I was just stumped for so long and nothing was coming out, like no air, no nothing. And then finally I talked to him, and he didn't even recognize it at first, but then he had told me that he also found that out from another source. So anyways, man, I was stumped on that for a while. The directions do not tell you anything in regards to that. It just says refer to, like my directions right here. Sorry, I'm holding a drum. I'm going to show you here in a moment. But the directions say refer to page 7 in regards to bleeding the brakes. You go to page 7 and it just says, bleed brakes the proper way, but it doesn't say anything about how in regards to the bleeder screws or nothing. Even when I went on Summit and the websites and things like that to try to look for these bleeder screws to see if I can order some more, I thought they were defective because when I looked inside of them, it was just like solid. But I didn't know that the screw on top, you had to like basically unscrew to let out the air and the brake fluid. So anyways, you guys, there's no literature on it on the websites or anything. So thank you, California, for helping me out with that when I figured it out. And today we bled the brakes in like 2 seconds. So it was super easy. But anyways, now I'm dealing with a hung up drum. So I got the emergency brake kit set with the rear brakes for Wilwood. And I kind of noticed that they were hanging up a little bit, but I figured when I drive, they would probably loosen up or whatever. But like, I'm talking, they are stuck when I try to spin them. They'll spin freely for like a 3/4 turn, then they'll get stuck. And I would try with all my might to turn the wheels and nothing. And I really don't want to drive like that with stuck e-brakes. They should spin freely. So I unfortunately had to take them apart after I put the wheels back on from bleeding the brakes. Took the wheels off, and then I had to take the calipers off. Luckily, I didn't have to undo the brake lines, and this is what I came up with. So you guys, this is what it looks like inside the drum. So you can see all those particles there just from that coating. Look on the floor here, you see all that stuff on the floor there. That's from this side alone. So if you know anything about drums, you know drums can get hung up very easy. They can get stuck, they can get seized on. I'm sure I could probably drive on it and maybe burn them off, but I really don't want to do that. I don't want to mess up the pads. I just don't want to mess up anything. So what I'm trying to do now is actually, I already did it to this side. So I'm sanding the inside of these drums down just from with some like 180 grit paper or 120 or whatever. So it's coarse enough where it'll take that off, but it's not too coarse. It'll put, scratches, like major deep scratches inside of the drum or anything like that. But it'll take that coating off very easily. Well, with some little elbow grease. But anyways, if I rub my finger across that bare metal onto that coating, it is pretty damn thick, you guys. And you can see how all of it is not off. So I'm pretty sure that that's getting hung up on that. I pretty much can guarantee it. So I sanded this side down already. As you can see, the drum is back on. But what I did is I took the sandpaper to the brake shoes also, and I lightly scuffed those up. And then I went around the edges of the shoes and I rounded them off. And then now I'm about to sand this down and try to see if this works. Also too, I backed off the emergency brake screw or whatever. You can adjust those pads to make them tighter or looser. So I backed them all the way off, and we're hopefully going to see if this works. So I don't have my emergency brake cable kit yet, so we'll see. But anyways, let me go ahead and try to attack this, you guys. Sorry for the unsteady hand and just looking at brake drums the whole time. But let me go ahead and attack this, and then I'll chime back in here in a moment. All right, y'all, so I just got done, and you can kind of see all that. That's all that coating that came off. And I just lightly scuffed it with that sandpaper, and now it's all nice and smooth. I didn't go ham on it, but you can see it left some micro scratches in there, but that's okay. I've actually scuffed a lot of drums with sandpaper before, just to kind of get the surface rust off and just to kind of rough it up a little bit, so that way it has a little bit something to grab. But yeah, I don't know. I think this might do the trick, but we'll see. So now I'm going to go to the drums, and I'm going to sand those down, the shoes. I'm going to sand those down, and I'm going to round the edges on those after blowing this off, and then we'll put it back on and we'll kind of see where we're at. All right, y'all, what's up? So I just finished up and I totally forgot to film. I actually talked to my buddy Derek because he's having another problem with his Wilwood emergency brake kit. For some reason, one spins freely and the other one binds. It like locks up for some reason, where mine were kind of like both locking up. So I could get like a 3/4 turn out of them, and then they would lock up. So that ended up being the problem, and that ended up being the resolution for it. Me taking them off, sanding them down, and freeing them up, getting all that debris out, all that coating off of the inside of the drum, sanding down the pads, and we're good to go. So man, easy fix for me. I hope my buddy figures his out. Actually, Summit is sending him like a new brake kit because they're thinking it might be a manufacturer defect, maybe possibly a warped rotor, or possibly maybe that drum kit might be bad or off-centered. I've heard of possibly some kits being not centric to the axle. I told him that as well, so that could be a possibility. Hopefully that's not the case, but hopefully with this new kit, he'll be able to resolve that and be good to going on the road. He's trying to get the car back this weekend, or by this weekend, because there's that cruise Saturday, so we'll see if we can make it. So I'm trying to get this one on the road to see if I can make it. But sorry I didn't film that, you guys, but it was a fix. Obviously you'll see me driving the car, hopefully with no noise, so then you know that resolved it. So anyways, easy fix. If you guys are having some issue like that, hopefully it's not as serious as what Derek is going through right now, my buddy, but hopefully this will resolve any issues you have if you're looking to get the e-brake kit on the Wilwood. So I will say, man, I'm not too impressed with Wilwood as of right now. I mean, the installs were easy, but man, it's just been nothing but hassles, man. Like the few videos ago where I showed you that spacer was off and I couldn't get the caliper lined up, I had to take it to a machine shop. I had to go through like 4 different machine shops to find one machine shop that would actually mill it down for me. What else? And obviously the e-brake kit, the emergency brake deal, I couldn't get it to spin with the emergency brake tool that I got. It ended up locking up somehow, I don't know, so I had to take off everything. But there's always a reason for something, because if that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't have took off the wheel, and I probably wouldn't have investigated it even more and fixed what I had fixed. So anyways, you gotta take things in. There's always a reason for something happening, and I just gotta keep that in mind, man, and keep my nose to the grindstone, as my my godmom always says. Keep your nose to the grindstone. But anyways, you guys, also huge shout out to Gary, man. Gary, appreciate you, man. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, and he actually gave me a good advice for this fuel deal. So this is actually how the TBI setup is supposed to be ran. So they want you to get the feed, which is right there, into the front rail, and then the return going out to the regulator, and then the return back to the tank, going back to the tank out the bottom. That's how they want it ran for this particular TBI setup if I were still running it. So I actually just kind of left it. I hooked that end up to the end rail and then made it kind of do a loop back into the regulator and then back out to the tank. So he noticed it was kind of a deadhead style. I didn't even recognize that, you guys. So and that's actually how he said that he blew his motor up, because the fuel pressure wasn't regulated correctly. So how it should go is actually how it is on my Caprice. So my Caprice is returnless style as far as the rail goes. So I only have one port going in, but nothing going out to the return. So what I'm going to have to do is mimic that setup, and I actually have a cap that they sent with it. So what I'm going to do is actually put this feed inside of here. I'm just waiting on an adapter to get here. Then I will go out to the rail. I'll just leave that there like that. So this will be my in from the tank, and then out to the rail, over and around, and then it'll be capped off here. But I'll still have my return going back to the tank, and that'll be exactly how my setup on my LSA Pro Charger build is on my Caprice. So man, shout out to you on that. Really appreciate it. And actually it makes complete sense. I didn't even really recognize it, so I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for chiming in on that. He actually sent me a personal message on Instagram, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do that to make sure I'm set up right. So also I'm gonna have to attack this wiring this week, so I'm gonna have to shorten these wires. So I'm gonna have to dedicate a few hours to do that. So, but anyways, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff, y'all. My name is Mr. Griffin 23. We out of here. Deuces. Peace out.